Good morning, fourth grade online learners. This is our second attempt at this video because, like yesterday, when it froze at 7 minutes, today it froze at 1 minute. So I threw some old movies in the trash, and I've been told that if you take out the trash, videos won't freeze anymore. We will try this out and see. Okay, so this is our lesson, how rocks form, and we talked about this yesterday, Earth's layers. Look at all the vocabulary words, guys. Here's the words: core, crust, igneous rock, mantle, metamorphic rock, mineral, rock cycle, sedimentary rock, sediment. There is an episode of Mosa Mac on Google Classroom. If you scroll towards the bottom, you'll see Mosa Mac enrichment. Take a look at it. Fifth grade is kind of doing the same thing, so their lesson is very similar, but hopefully the lesson that you look at for fourth grade complements what we're doing in the book. They don't often align perfectly, but you might learn a little more. And we might even watch that video today in class, at the end of class. It's about 10 minutes long. So yesterday on this page, we started to learn all the words. We learned about the crust, the outer layer of the earth. We learned that rock is a solid mineral made up of one or more minerals. And a mineral is a solid material found in the earth's crust, and it has a definite chemical shape and makeup. On the next page, we saw a cross section of the earth, and I remember Nicholas saying, how'd they cut that out of there? That's just an artist's version of what they think it looks like. The mantle is a thick layer of rock between the crust and the core the core is a dense ball with a liquid outer part and a solid inner part. Now, guys, remember this too. I learned this in college. I was actually teaching a college class, and they started talking about the 6 layers of the earth. I was like, what do you mean 6 layers? They actually take these 3 layers and they divide them up into even more, like the lithosphere and the asthenosphere. So when you get a little bit older, you're going to learn that there's more than just 3 layers of earth. They get real specific with them. So just when you get older, don't say, Mr. Monzo said there's only 3. There are 3 basic ones, but then they split them up even more when you get older. On the next page, we get really specifically into obsidian, basalt, and granite. And I often tell the kids, people use granite very often in kitchens for countertops. It's a little bit expensive if you decide to go that route, but it looks really nice. And the earth naturally makes these patterns, and if you get them and they cut them into thin slices, you can make countertops. On the next page, we learn about sedimentary rock, conglomerate, limestone, and shale, and then metamorphic rock, limestone and granite. Granite is another fine material that people use sometimes in household applications or even outside for different reasons. On the last page of our lesson, how rocks change. Any kind of rock can change into another kind. For example, metamorphic rock can become sedimentary rock. Scientists call the continuous series of changes that rocks go through, they call it the rock cycle. The rock cycle never ends. Rocks build up and wear down, wear away again and again. So the rock cycle, cementing dissolved materials in cracks, turns into sedimentary rock. Heat and pressure can turn it into metamorphic rock. Melting molten rock can turn it into igneous rock, and then weathering can turn it back into sediments. So if you see the last page of the lesson, if you have your book, all this is saying is rocks can change and become other types of rocks. So a lot to know about rocks, guys, and if you ever go to Washington, D.C., there's a whole museum full of rocks that you could walk around and look at them and learn about them. And the nice thing about these museums in Washington, D.C., they are free to the people. You could make a donation if you want on your way in. Say, oh, I'll give $1, that was good, or I'll give $5. But if you want to walk in, look at all these different Smithsonian museums. Some have rocks, some have insects, some are about science, some are about the airplanes flying and transportation. They're all free. I was down there, believe it or not, in 1985 visiting my uncle, and he lives near Washington, D.C., And I spent 7 days there, and I didn't see all the museums. And I was young. I was only 27 years old, and I was able to walk far and walk long. I could walk all day if I had to, and I still didn't see all the museums. It's a great place to go on vacation if you like museums. My daughter was all excited because where they're all located, it's called the mall. And she couldn't wait to get to the mall, and then she found out there's no shopping on the mall. This is not Monroeville Mall or Westmoreland Mall. It's just a term for where all the museums are located. I know in one of them they have all kind of rocks, guys. This is just a small sample of what they have. The most famous rock they have there is the Hope Diamond. And they have a security guard that guards it 24 hours a day. You can go in, you can look at it, but it's the world's biggest and most precious and most valuable diamond. And you don't get to really touch it or go near it that closely because there's a security guard watching you the whole time. Okay, so can somebody lend me their computer? Oh, I see the Growler back here. She had her hand up first. Thank you, Miss Growler. I was going to make it easy and just take Ellison's because she's right up front, but I went with the first hand up. So the website is called universetoday.com, how rocks are formed, 46594, whatever. That's just the address. Okay, as a terrestrial planet, Earth is divided into layers based on their chemical and rheological properties. And whereas its interior region, the inner and outer core, are mostly made up of iron and nickel, the mantle and crust are largely composed of silicate rock. The crust and upper mantle are collectively known as the lithosphere, from which the tectonic plates are composed. So there's one of those words I told you about, lithosphere. They just kind of break down the 3 layers of rocks and 3 layers of the earth and give them fancier names. In the lithosphere, rocks are formed and reformed, and depending on the type of rock, the process through which they are created varies. In all, there are 3 types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. Each type of rock has a different origin, therefore the question, how are rocks formed, begs 3 answers. So on this website, for your summary, you can do a sentence from how are igneous rocks formed, how are sedimentary rocks formed, and how metamorphic rocks formed. The way to do that, guys, is you got to page down through your website. And some people just summarize the first paragraph. But if you go through this website, you can learn so much more. And I would ask you to do that. I'm going to take this back to Lillian because she's very nervous about getting her computer back. Okay, 4th grade online learners, all my friends at home. If you have additional time today, go into Google Classroom, scroll down to the bottom of all the topics, and you'll see MOSA MAC enrichment. If you go on there's about a 12-minute video, and it should complement what we're learning or what we're about to learn. Their topics don't exactly align with ours, but sometimes you look ahead or look back on what you just learned. I encourage you to do that because we may buy that computer program just as an enrichment. That means as extra learning instead of just having the book and websites. We could have a whole nother science program. All right, let's check the time. Looks like we did good today. And we have 5 more seconds to get to 9 minutes. Everybody say hello, online learners. Hello, online learners. Okay, we hope all is well in the Hensler house. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.